Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, fans of Major League Soccer. Hello, lovers of the black and gold, and an extra special hello and thank you. And yes, I know it's going to hurt in some cases to welcome who I'm about to welcome, but take your baseball eyes off for now and put on your MLS goggles as we like to welcome and say thank you. Thank you to the Houston Dynamo, and thank you to former LA Galaxy defender Daniel Steres, scoring what LAFC needed. Look, we needed to win. We needed to score a few goals. We needed Houston to beat our arch rivals and the Fighting Cosmonauts, who did rise from the abyss this season. While they had a great regular season, and make no mistake of it, this was the best Galaxy team we've seen since the inception of LAFC. But we needed Houston to bless us with a Galaxy loss, and bless us, they absolutely did. LAFC in a wild Saturday evening finishes off as the best in the West, and it's really funny when you think of it. Galaxy brings in Marco Reus, and like his former club did a season or so ago, LA Galaxy totally Borussia Dortmund the hell out of their regular season. It was yours. And to quote the great Billy Madison,
you blew it!
You did. I can't believe how crazy Saturday night was. We will unpack this in just a moment, but oh my gosh. Introductions. My name is Christian Filament, also known as Philly the Flamingo, and joining me from the West Side, the Lord of Lawndale, the Sultan of Shawls, the Bishop of Bufondas, and the mouth of the South Bay, J.R. freaking Liebert.
The Scarf, what is good? And I can't forget to say hello to the millions.
And millions
of all of the black and gold faithful Defenders Nation, everybody in the chat, Craig from Dublin, Ireland. I mean, come on, everybody. What an incredible night at BMO Stadium. You mentioned it, Galaxy legend Daniel Steres sending parts of the North End and then the rest of the stadium absolutely in a frenzy. Philly, first, would you mind, like we were going to talk about it on One More Sleep. You didn't want to, but we'll get back to all the craziness in a minute. But would you mind showing all of the black and gold faithful, and maybe especially all the Galaxy fans out there, the unfortunate injury that you sustained while chopping cucumbers? There it is. He injured that finger. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be. Philly chopped part of his finger off, y'all. And if Philly wants to talk about it anymore, I'll let him. I'm not, because I'll throw up.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all know what a mandolin is, and I don't mean the musical instrument kind, but the cutting the veggies kind. I was watching the Guardians-Yankees game, and I was cutting cucumbers because I wanted a snack, trying to eat healthy, cutting cucumbers with a little bit of olive oil, a pinch of salt, trying to have a good snack. And the game got intense, and I stopped paying attention for a little while. And the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, that kind of hurt. Then I realized, oh, my God, I snipped a little portion of my fingertip off. And not to gross y'all out, that little piece of my fingertip is currently sitting in my fridge right now. I might have to go to the hospital tomorrow to get it sutured on. But, yes, there it is. There it is. And the funny thing is, like, my middle finger muscle is going to be so powerful. It's going to look like Quagmire's arm when he discovered the internet, if you ever watched that clip on Family Guy. It hurt for a little while. Now it feels pretty good, but nothing feels as good as being on top of the West. Dude, once again, Galaxy, all they needed was a tie. And again, I have to play this clip to quote Billy Madison.
You blew it! And I think I wish we can.
I was calling a game on ESPN for UC Riverside. I wish I was there.
Yeah, I think we can use that clip too, because it's like less than 5 seconds or something. So there you go. All right, we'll take it. Look, for all of you, Philly's part of the Yakuza now, all of a sudden.
Hence all the tattoos.
Look, for those of you that were there and stuck around, there were, I would say, a good majority of the 32-52. Don't worry, we'll get into that, soccer nerd. The Indiana, majority of the 32-52 stuck around, and then a smattering of fans all across the West Side, the East Side, and the South End. But look, we're going to talk about how it all happened. We're going to break down the goals. We're going to talk about all of the atmosphere at BMO. But here's how we got to talk about it at the top real quick, how insane the goal got around BMO Stadium, because we were all watching on our phones. Everybody was sitting there watching on our phones, except for about 100 to 150 people in the North End who were actually watching on the televisions above the bars, right there behind the North End. And those televisions were like 15 seconds ahead of everybody's phones in the stadium. And when Galaxy equalized off of a well-deserved drag your foot, earn the PK, because that's how you try and do it. We've seen Denis Bouanga do it a bunch of times. You can't be pissed at Ricky Pooch for Ricky Pooching. That's what he does.
Ricky Poaching.
Yeah, when Gabriel Peck stepped up, we knew what was going to happen. The dude is an absolute howitzer. He's an incredible player. Puts it away 1-1. The collective groan, the color went out from our faces. We knew that unfortunately it looked like everything was done. And we all waited. We're like, all right, well, the game's technically not over yet. Final whistle hasn't happened. And we were all watching, and we heard this like mini roar from behind. I looked at the North End, and nobody in the North End was celebrating. I was like, where the hell is this coming from? Because you can't see behind the North End at the bar. And then all of a sudden we look down and the goal happens. I mean, Daniel Steres, you sweet, sweet man, we have to have you on the podcast at some point, just so you can talk about what it must have been like to eliminate the top seed from your former team who let you go, transferred you to Houston from the Galaxy. I think today we are all fans of Daniel Steres.
Yeah, no doubt. And while the city of Los Angeles, and honestly the entire country, may collectively hate the city of Houston because of their baseball team, I would say at the very least we have to tip our hats off to their MLS team, because they did us a huge favor. We controlled our destiny, and boy, we controlled it. We didn't start out controlling it very well, but we needed a little bit of help, and man, it couldn't have happened in a better way. Look, Galaxy fielding their best team since the inception of LAFC, making their moves, bringing their transfers, having talented players, bringing in the likes of a Marco Reus, only to lose it on the final day of the regular season decision day. Now, I know that playoffs are, yes.
Daniel Steres is born in Burbank.
Yeah, I was saving that for when we were going to talk about that. Yes, I'm very well aware that Steres is a Burbankian. But anyway, just going back to my point, just thank you, Houston Dynamo. And yes, thank you to the pride of Burbank. And thank you to Indiana Hoosier Griffin Dorsey for that assist late in the game. Oh my gosh. Jonathan Reimer and I were calling the UCR game, and we didn't have the game playing. We obviously had to focus, but we had the highlights, and he kept tapping me on the shoulder. I'm looking down, wanting to cheer and yell excitedly, but we were in the middle of calling a game. And then at some point, I know LAFC won, and Jonathan went off and mentioned that on the air, but it was great. It hurts my soul a little bit knowing that I missed a game, which I rarely ever do. But obviously, when you're trying to focus on something and make a dream come true, you sacrifice something for your personal greater good. But I'm sorry, everybody that was there got to experience it. Craig coming in from the UK, getting to experience that. You're our good luck charm, my friend. Welcome to Los Angeles, forever black and gold. So super cool that you got to experience this. And we got playoffs, babe. We got a bye. First round bye, which is kind of cool. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be playing next week, but it means that we're going to be awaiting our winner. And so many cool things. What a season. Just like 2022, the roller coaster of it. A questionable start, a strong run, a slight dip, and a perfect acceleration towards the end. It's been a wild season. I'm so proud of this club from the top all the way down to the supporters. We have a lot to be happy about today.
Yeah, and look, it's not technically a bye, right? Because it just means we avoid that 8-9. It's just we avoid that 8-9, and look, obviously that was something that we were pretty stoked about. With the field being announced, the wild card matches will be in today's Sunday, so 2 and 3 days. October 22nd and 23rd, Inter Miami and LAFC, of course, are your top seeds. Look, It's incredible. We get the winner of the Whitecaps and the Timbers. But Philly, the craziness is that motocross has thrown a huge monkey wrench into the 8-9 game. Vancouver winning the right to host it at BC Place, but BC Place hosting motocross. So the 8-9 match will be played at Providence Park in Portland. So much for hosting. That is going to be a raucous atmosphere. Portland does support their boys. I mean, amazing. And you know what? I want to mention this right off at the top too, Philly. It's 10:28 a.m. in an hour and a half. LAFC 2 takes on St. Louis City 2 in our first ever MLS Next Cup playoff match for our boys, LAFC 2. Please make sure you support LAFC 2. You got to find it on MLSnextpro.com. It's unfortunately not televised. You can maybe find it on LAFC 2 and St. Louis City 2's YouTube pages, but MLSnextpro.com to watch our boys. It was absolutely an unbelievable season for them, finishing fifth and making the playoffs, 45 points in 28 matches. So we want to support them. God, there's just so many things to talk about, Philly, but how crazy was that? We've got Galaxy against Colorado Rapids, Real Salt Lake against Minnesota, and the Sounders Dynamo, which could be really fun. And of course, we get the winner of the Whitecaps and Portland.
Do you remember a LAFC 2 player briefly by the name of Alex Sukup?
Yes.
Yeah, he plays on Cal State Fullerton. I was looking forward to calling his game on this past Wednesday, but he was not on the team. I figured there's a nice little LAFC 2 tie, and it makes sense. I mean, playing at Titan Stadium with LAFC 2 now as a member of the Titans, good stuff. That game that LAFC 2 is playing in, it's hosted where?
That's at St. Louis City Park, wherever it is.
Got it. Okay, just making sure. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, a lot going on today in Los Angeles. Angel City playing their final home game of the season. And obviously, we got a big baseball game going on later tonight, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to celebrate our LAFC team winning the Western Conference, or at least clinching the top spot in the West. Got a long way to go. But life is all about the journey. And right now, the journey is looking good. So we should take a step back, breathe, and enjoy the moment. Sports, in particular, certain clubs, can only fill you with so many moments. And we are blessed and privileged to have gotten to celebrate so many moments relatively early with LAFC. I know there's people that have fandoms of teams that haven't celebrated anything in a very long time. But we get to have that luck. So we'll enjoy this. We'll rest on the laurel for today. But like Ilie Sanchez said the other day, the best is yet to come. We got playoffs. We got home field, at least up until the MLS Cup final. And yeah, it's a glorious day. But let's get into it, man. What do you got? This day in LAFC history, news, notes. Before we get into it, what you got?
Yeah, not a ton of news and notes. The only thing we're going to talk about is St. Louis City 2 and LAFC 2. We've already handled that. This is episode 334. That's Southeast Alabama, including Montgomery and Selma and Auburn. And by the way, I get to spend a little bit of time over the last couple of years in Montgomery and Selma, taking my middle schoolers to an incredible civil rights themed curricular learning trip. Good Lord, easy for me to say. We actually got to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma with one of the people who walked across it on that first time in the 60s. It was absolutely incredible for us to experience that with her, with Joanne Bland. She's incredible. One of the voices of Selma. And luckily enough, actually, one of my middle schoolers' grandmothers was also part of that walk years ago. So she connected with our class. It's just being there in the South, in places like Montgomery, Selma, Little Rock, all of the different places where that civil rights movement took place, being there in the footsteps of Dr. Martin Luther King and so many others who walked through there and made those changes. Just so cool. Just want to give a shout out to my middle schoolers here on episode 334, which is, of course, the area code for Southeast Alabama. Philly, do you remember, like, way back in the day, this day in LAFC history, October 19th, 2018, LAFC partnered with Delta and Aero Mexico to host the LAFC Taking Off event.
Oh,
And
yeah.
from what I understand, I still have them. They made these little charms, little jewelry pieces, and it said it was made from the metal panels of the wing that took LAFC supporters, players, fans, everybody to Seattle for the first ever game. Remember those little things?
I do. I got that somewhere around. They were also doing photos. I distinctly remember the photo. I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it might have been at the same location he utilized to introduce Bob Bradley for a press conference. I might be wrong. I have photos from that event too somewhere that I just came across. But yes, I do have that. That's going really retro. I wouldn't even know where to find that article. You want to talk about a vintage LAFC piece that you rarely see anybody talk about? It would be that item from that Delta Aero Mexico launch. I got to find it.
Right? Like, those are the things I love about this day in LAFC history when we think about stuff like that, man. Really cool. Philly, you mentioned it. Angel City plays their final home match of the season today. So again, as a reminder for all your ACFC needs, please be sure to tune in to the Angel City Chicks and to follow at Angel City Chicks on your social media platform. Philly, Soccer in 60. I have to say, I honestly don't know who you interviewed this week. I apologize.
No, all good. So the Empire Strikers went out and signed quite a fefew players, some young players, and then they brought in Marcelo Sarvas. For those who've been following Major League Soccer for a while, he was on those 2012, 2014 Galaxy MLS Cup winning teams with Beckham and Donovan. Strikers did end up signing him. He's going to be a really important piece from a veteran leadership perspective on the team. And so, yeah, I got a chance to chat with him. I broke the ice with him really nicely because obviously people know him from his days in Major League Soccer, ended his career at DC United. But what a lot of people didn't know, at least I didn't know it at the time, that he won some Costa Rican championships with this team right here. For those of you who don't know what this is, I'm showing you the kit of Alajuelense scarf. I don't even know if you knew that I had this. Check out
When
this.
did you get an Alajuelense kit?
So I was supposed to go on that trip for the Champions League, but
Yes.
I ended up getting, I had to call it an indoor soccer game. So I didn't take my ticket and I should have had the insurance on it, but I wanted some kind of memento to remember this. And I just went out, believe it or not, on eBay, bought that bad boy for $30. And then I kept it deep in my closet. And then when I realized that Sarvas played at Alajuelense, I thought, let me see if I could dig that up. And when he saw it, instantly opened up. He, nice guy, very nice guy. Obviously, he's got a history in the league. And Soccer in 60, our producer Gunner does get some really quality guests on our show. We're not talking about the 12th man from the JV team of Burroughs High School. We're talking about people that have played in that have MLS Cup wins. We're talking about players of the likes of Marco Fabian. Got to interview Kobe Jones. So a lot of really cool interviews on Soccer in 60. We're making that show grow. It covers everything within this area. LAFC, the LA Galaxy, Orange County Soccer Club, which congrats to them for clinching a playoff spot. Angel City and obviously the Empire Strikers. So check it out. It's typically myself and Tim Kolatz. Nina pops in every once in a while. Panda does the Angel City segment. So we're trying to grow that. And like Defenders, by the way, if y'all follow us, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We finally cracked the 900 mark. Love to get it to 1,000. I know y'all out there that listen to us, watch us on YouTube, and there's about 7,000 or so of you on Instagram that follow us. Spread that word. We're trying to grow that YouTube channel. I get it. We might be faces for radio, but we like to be seen too.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool show. We want to expand our brand as well. Make sure, if you have time to, we're in talks. Our buddy Dexter, we've got some cool things going on for merch over the next little bit. But dude, these album covers lately, these episode covers lately from Dexter have been absolutely unreal. You guys are gonna love this one for 334. Love the artwork that he's been doing. We know that a lot of you are also taking time out of your NFL football watching day for us, so we are going to get right into it, Philly. The storyline that we were watching first, obviously on decision day, was Columbus and Red Bulls, and unfortunately a late goal for Columbus. They take it 3-2, which means that LAFC, when we make it out of the West and into MLS Cup final, Unless it's at Miami or Columbus, we are hosting. But if it is at Miami or Columbus, we have to travel to Miami or Columbus.
I don't think I want to go back to the state of Ohio anytime soon. Hawaii. Did I say Hawaii or Ohio? I'm thinking Hawaii. The state of Ohio anytime. I was clearly thinking of Hawaii. They say Ohio is for lovers, certainly not for us. It's been a house of horrors. Going to Miami, not necessarily the worst thing, but you're not technically going to Miami. So if you're going to look to book a flight and find somewhere close to the stadium, newsflash for you, it ain't South Beach. So don't set up there. It's inner Fort Lauderdale for a reason. It's a bit of a schlep from downtown Miami. But if that's the case, great. We are getting so ahead of ourselves, though. While Miami might have set the record, while Messi might have had a hat trick the other day, there's still no telling who's going to be in the MLS Cup. And that's the thing. It is hard to sustain an entire season of dominance. And if that was the case, Inter Miami would be the champion. And so you give the credence to the Shield winner. And obviously, FIFA decided to give some credence to the Shield winner, letting them in the FIFA Club World Cup. Come on. Don't tell me show me that you're corrupt without showing me that you're corrupt. Like that's all about the money. The biggest piece of BS that I've ever seen. And when I ever see that bald-headed FIFA bastard himself, I'm going to let him know what a schmuck he is, an absolute POS. But yeah, let's get there. We still got a long road before we might even see Miami. Sorry.
Yeah, look, we know a couple of teams that we know a couple of teams that won't be there. Christian Benteke and the Golden Boot winning DC United, they won't be there. The Philadelphia Union not making the playoffs. Walker Zimmerman and Nashville finishing 13th. I mean, Toronto, it started out as the Bob Bradley experiment, and that has ridiculously failed. Chicago Fire obviously haven't been a good team in a while, but I mean, good on Houston for representing the state of Texas, because Austin and FC Dallas not making it. Last year's darlings, St. Louis City, they're in 12th place, not making it. And no surprise that Sporting Kansas City, will Peter Vermees fire himself at the end of the season? We'll see. It'll be interesting. And of course, the Wooden Spoon winning 21 points on the season. San Jose Earthquakes, with their head coach Ian Russell, came into BMO Stadium looking to play spoilers to LAFC's Cinderella evening. They could not do it. Ian Russell lines up his 4-2-3-1, missing a couple of key pieces. Michael Baldissimo and Benji Kikanovic, both out with lower body injuries.
Not extremities?
What's that?
Not extremities?
Not extremities, just a lower body injury. That's all we've got from San Jose's injury report. Also, William Yarborough, who had been their starting keeper for the longest time, formerly of Leon when we went down there the first time, he has lost the job to a man named Daniel. Daniel is the goalkeeper. The defenders were Carlos Acapo, Bruno Wilson, Rodriguez, who played extremely physically, especially on one Olivier Giroud, and Vitor Costa. In the midfield, Jackson Ewell is a pretty good player and was going to be my player to watch if I didn't choose Amal Pellegrino. Carlos Grueso. Philly's player to watch was Christian Espinoza, and that guy is really good. Hernan Lopez, Paul Marie, and Jeremy Abobasi. We would only see 4 for the San Jose Earthquakes: Oscar Verhaven, Useni Buddha, Nico Sakiris, and my player to watch, who almost ruined everything for LAFC, thanks to Hugo Lloris, he did not, Amal Pellegrino. Philly, a lineup for the ages for LAFC, including someone finally in the 18.
Finally in the 18, and might have seen him had it not been for Aaron Long cramping, but we'll talk about that later. Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris doing big things. Boy, did Hugo Lloris save our Keisters in the 87th minute. For all the Hugo Lloris haters out there, shut up. Again, take off your Arsenal-colored glasses. Hugo Lloris is black and gold, and that's how it is. Eddie Segura, Maxime Chinot, coming back from his travels with Luxembourg, and Aaron Long, the former UC Riverside Highlander, Shout out to the Highlanders. Sergi Palencia, Lewis O'Brien, Timothy Tillman, Omar Campos, Matty Bogush, Olivier Giroud, Denis Bouanga. Coming off of the Pine Pony, Marlon, Kai Kamara, Ryan Hollingshead, Scarf's favorite player. And Scarf, you need to put some respect on this man's name. Edward Atuesta and David Martinez. And the player you were alluding to, the player that I also thought, the player that I'm sure all of you thought would grace the pitch, number 10, Carlos Vela, back into the lineup. And look, the way the game worked out, in a way, I'm glad that he didn't come through because it's fine. But to see him suited up, to see him warming up, we heard the news. We knew he was coming back. He said he was coming back, but it doesn't feel real until you get to witness it with your own eyes in that set of circumstances you did. That's the LAFC lineup that gets to clinch top spot in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I do want to mention a couple things about Carlos because obviously when Carlos first got up to warm up in the first half, there was a big cheer from on the sidelines. That was pretty cool. In the second half, Carlos and another player actually came over to the bench for a minute in like the 65th minute. And everybody thought, oh my God. Is it now? And they all watched, and Carlos turned back around and went down the tunnel. I think he had to go to the bathroom. I think he was literally just telling the coaches, hey, I got to go poop. I'll be right back. And then he comes back, and I have to say, Dario, who sits right behind me, he saw it first. I didn't see it. But in that 80th minute, Aaron Long stayed down behind the play. And it was Dario who said it right behind me. Oh, my God, we're not going to see Carlos. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And he goes, look. And I saw Aaron Long behind the play. And I already knew they were already having substituted 4 times. And so when Marlon came in, there was this collective, or when he ran over to the sideline to take off his training bib, obviously, and put on his kit, there was this collective, like everybody was so disappointed because we all knew, like, damn it, unless somebody gets concussed, which is the only reason you can make a 6th substitution, we're not going to see Carlos. I don't know that anybody was praying for a concussion, but I know that a lot of people came there to see Carlos. So they were like, and a couple of fans, not supporters, fans left Founders Club after that substitution was made because they were like, well, we came here to see Carlos. He's not going to play. And they walked out.
That's pretty effing lame.
Yeah. No, it was, I'm putting them on blast because that's why I called them fans and not supporters.
Clearly nobody we know.
No. I mean, these are people, look, we sit in Founders Club. Founders Club tickets are probably sold more than any other ticket, resold. I mean, like, the people that just buy them to resell them. It's not like the North End where it's the same people every match. The South End is that same way too. There's a lot of people who buy tickets every single match of the South End. I can say this about Founders because I've sat there for almost every single game since 2018. Yep. There's a lot of recycling of seats in Founders. And the bummer is that's when we have to kind of bite our tongue as people leave because those aren't supporters. Those are just a lot of fans that show up.
I can't even begin to tell you the number of times I wanted to yell, where's the fire towards the end of LAFC games that were still very competitive. You spend all that money for what? To not enjoy the entirety of the match? We're not Dodger Stadium. This isn't 50, 60,000 people that you have to contend with in traffic. You wait a little while, the traffic dissipates relatively early. If you live far away, that's on you. What, you can't spend an extra 10, 15 minutes to enjoy your time there? I hate that. Absolutely hate that. What is the point of it? And you know what? These are probably fans that didn't even understand the implications of things. We did have a good core group of people in that section for the first year or two, but now looking around, there aren't as many familiar faces. And like you said, things recycle. And that is the beauty of the North End. You get to see the same familiar, dedicated supporters time and time again. Very disappointed with the type of support we see from people and Founders. And I don't mean the ones that are there on a regular basis. Obviously, we love you. We spend time with you. But yeah, for the transients, just fine. Make the club money, but stick around at the very least. If not, just get the hell out of our stadium.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's hope they were in their seats early, Philly. Yeah, Genuine Cougar and Schmurdy, by the way, Founders Club season ticket holders now. We're excited to have them in Founders, which is pretty good. John, that's right. You make sure you let us know when you leave early. You got to run everything by Philly and the Scarf up in Founders. That's what we're saying. Damn it.
Yeah.
That's
Facto fathers of Founders.
We hope you guys know we're kidding. We're just having fun with this. It is.
I'll still say, where's the fire? I don't care.
Yeah, it is.
Unless it's a blowout, then that's warranted. But if it's close and it's on the line.
Yeah. When we see people leave like that, it's definitely frustrating. But what was more frustrating, Philly, is the way that LAFC played in the entire damn first half. We thought LAFC would come out guns a-blazing. Is there a better euphemism so that we don't have to use guns anymore? Is it like
there's so many soccer term euphemisms out there, man? Guns a-blazing, throw everything at him in the kitchen sink. Like, well, who the hell throws a kitchen sink? There's so many stupid terms in the vocabulary.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly. Anyways, no, it's just I was so frustrated with the way that LAFC played in the first half, and none more so. God, I love you, Eddie. But what the hell? Eddie Segura with a pass right out in front of his own goal. We talk about this all the time. Philly, one of the first things you learn when you're inbounding a basketball is never inbound the basketball back across underneath your own net, because that's where a player will steal it and go in for a layup. Well, this player stole it and went in for a layup. It was so frustrating. Eddie Segura, not only was it an ill-advised pass, if it was a Giorgio Chiellini pass where he puts that damn thing on you every single time, then we would have been fine. Then Timothy Tillman would have been able to get to the ball. Tillman raced back to get to the ball, and still a nice little move by Hernan Lopez to body Timothy Tillman off of that ball. Paul Marie standing right there and goes, ooh, look what I found, piece of candy. Paul Marie slots it over to Jackson Ewell, and all Jackson Ewell needed was a little bit of space. No chance for Hugo Lloris on that one, and certainly not his fault or anybody else's other than poor Eddie Segura. A disaster start, because now we need 3 goals with the way things are looking down in Carson. No change, obviously, in the scoreline down in Carson after 9 minutes. But to know that, all right, now we need to get 3 on these guys over the next 80 minutes. Work has to be done, and we are not going to be able to let up. Philly, an awful first half performance by LAFC.
I mean, that 9th minute, it was Jackson Ewell getting his first goal of the season. An absolute crap start. Like you said, that's not on Lloris, really not so much on Chanot. He did what he could to get back, but through ball comes in, a terrible. Paul Marie there at the right time. Jackson Ewell, a gorgeous goal. Not the dream start. But for a team that was on the precipice, on the verge of setting Major League Soccer's record for most goals conceded in a season, and keep in mind, 79 set by FC Cincinnati in 2019, we have scored on San Jose multiple times with high levels, even putting 6 against them. While the first one may not have felt good, I still felt it. It was just the dramatics that LAFC likes to put us through. There was no way that we were going to lose this game. And yeah, not a great first half, but sometimes you need to get punched in the face in order to react. And react, LAFC did.
Yeah, look, the thing is, there's plenty of time, right? We all knew, all right. It's still San Jose. You mentioned it. 79 goals, the record. Coming into this match, San Jose had given up 75. So they were right there. Obviously, they wound up giving up 78, so 1 away from the record. But look, more frustration in the first half. Olivier Giroud offside again on a goal. I mean,
scoring his prettiest goal ever for LAFC, by the way.
It was a nice little step around. He's done it a couple of times. I think it's the 4th goal that Olivier Giroud has been offside for. Denis having a good opportunity for a header in the 28th minute. But really, Philly, the best moment of the first half was in the 44th minute in Houston. Houston, that's right. First half of Houston, Ezequiel Ponce putting the Dynamo up 1-0. And now the energy in the stadium, I don't know if they felt it on the pitch just yet because it actually happened like right after I think we went to halftime or right as we were going to halftime. But the energy picks up a little bit. Dynamo go up 1-0 in Houston off of an Ezekiel Ponce goal. So we head to the half Philly. We're down 1-0. Galaxy's down 1-0. And you could really feel going into the second half, the energy level, the consternation, the frustration building at BMO Stadium.
Yeah, I think the most frustrating thing about the first half was the eye-popping stat of no shots on goal. No shots on goal?
Yeah.
Not that we had a season on the brink or massive implications, but no shots on goal. That right there was rather frustrating, especially if you were in the stands. Look, we had more shots than San Jose did. I think we had 8 to their 10. But with no shots on target, how are you going to be threatening? That was within the first 45, though. But stand by, because LAFC would end up recording a club record 11 shots on goal in the second half. And the 11 shots on goal, by the way, were tied for second most by the club in any game this season. So the offense would pick up. But sometimes, yes, you need to get kicked in the shin a little bit, maybe punched in the mouth a little bit. You got to realize that you got to give it your all. And I think these boys absolutely did. I don't know what Steve said to them in the locker room, but they turned things around relatively quickly.
In the press conference, Steve Cherundolo said, I don't know if it was motivational, but they definitely got the message. I
know what that means.
Yeah, he wasn't stoked. And I'll say this, at the hour mark, we're at the 60th minute. At the hour mark, things were there was frustration building. And not that because we hadn't converted opportunities, but because we still, after 60 minutes, hadn't created many damn opportunities. But look, just like that Inter-Miami match changed in the 58th minute when that number 10 guy subbed on, and he had a flipping hat trick and 2 assists, I think, in like a minute and a half. Everything changed just after the hour mark. And this is what I love about players like Timothy Tillman and later Edward Atuesta, the quality of some of their crosses. All Timothy Tillman did was put the ball in a dangerous place. That's all you have to continue to do against these teams that have suspect back lines. That's all you have to do. And a club that has given up 75 goals on the season coming in, put the ball in a spot. And Timothy Tillman puts the ball in a spot. It's headed back away from goal, as one should, but right to the wrong man. Number 99, Denis Bouanga says, look what I found. Chests it down, finds the right foot, and hammers it home. Philly joining a pretty cool club. I didn't realize first of all, I didn't realize that Carlos Vela wasn't on this list, but only 4 players, have ever scored 20 goals in back-to-back seasons in Major League Soccer. Those 4 players, Denis Bouanga, Joseph Martinez, David Villa, and the player, Philly, that you actually taught me the most about, maybe other than Eric Cantona, and a player who we both respect more than any other, I think, that has ever graced the pitch at BMO, because we love to hate him, but you have to respect the hell out of him, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, well, shoot, you pretty much took all the words out of my mouth, all the wind out of my sail on that. I got excited to talk about that, but it's pretty darn cool. 20 goals is not an easy feat. As amazing as Carlos Vela's season was in 2019, He didn't repeat that. In fact, he hasn't gotten close ever since. But obviously, that's not going to be easy, considering it was one of the best seasons of any individual performance in the history of the league. But 20 goals, 2 seasons in a row. Yes, joining a very illustrious group. Zlatan was only around a couple years. He did it. Joseph Martinez, at his powers as a member of Atlanta United, did it. And David Villa was a fine revelation on a team that had Frank Lampard and Andrea Pirlo on there. For David Villa to do it, awesome. But now we have Danny the Destroyer in there as well. I love how he scored the goal, Scarf. You talked about how San Jose headed it out. It was your buddy Rodriguez. The perfect assist, but problem is he's a San Jose earthquake. Denny did his perfect Adam West, 1960s, biff, bam, pow, slots it past Daniel. And yeah, he's part of an illustrious group. I think it's safe to say that as good as he has never been as good anywhere else on any other team throughout his professional career like he has been for LAFC and as he's been in Major League Soccer. Denny the Destroyer with his 20th.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Dolo was already getting set to make some changes, waiting in the wings to substitute. We're 3 players, and right as the goal happened, it couldn't have helped turn the momentum even quicker than those substitutions did. It was amazing. We get the goal from Denis. He runs into the goal, grabs the ball, puts it on the spot, and you hear the substitution whistle. And look, I was a little concerned that we were substituting out Matty Bogusz at this point. I'll be perfectly honest. But the substitutions really worked out. Kai Kamara coming in for Olivier Giroud, David Martinez coming in for Matty Bogusz, and Ryan Hollingshead coming in for Omar Campos. I thought Omar Campos played an excellent game. I think it was just a like for like, a little bit of extra leg subs. I think David Martinez brings us that X factor, maybe a little bit that Matty might not, but I don't know. Matty's such a great flipping player. But
so is David.
It was brought up in the chat earlier, and I want to say it again right now. This is Scarf talking here. We are better with Kai Kamara on the pitch than Olivier Giroud. I'm sorry, but the proof is in the pitch play. Look at what we are seeing. Kai Kamara just knows MLS better. What I mean by that is Kai Kamara knows that he has to get back on side a little bit quicker. Kai Kamara knows that maybe the quality of service isn't going to be as good. Kai Kamara knows how to score goals better than any damn player in the history of this league, with the exception of one of the match day managers on the sideline yesterday at San Jose's bench. That would be Chris Wondolowski. He's in the building. He was right there. And you have to believe Kai Kamara, looking over at his former boy out there on the bench, wanted to do something over these last 25 plus minutes. He always wants to do something, but man, is it inspirational when you see the guy that you came up with right there on the bench too. We are a better club right now with Kai Kamara on the pitch. Now, the only thing I have to say, Philly, is that maybe
finish your thought.
But sorry, maybe Steve Cherundolo knows something and says, yes, Scarf, you're right, but Kai Kamara is even more effective as a late game sub or a mid game sub than he is starting. If that's the case, if they've figured out something, I'll shut up. But I just think, Philly, we're better with Kai Kamara on the pitch.
Yes, I'm not going to dispute that. But let's look at the season as a whole. Olivier came in August. He didn't have time to gel with the team. And chemistry is a very important factor when it comes down to it. Having the ability to understand your patterns, your runs, your teammates knowing exactly what direction you like to head in certain circumstances. Kai was there from the beginning of the season. So from that perspective, that's not fair. Yes, Kai, the more accomplished soccer player in this league, but Olivier, the more accomplished player, period. The guy doesn't lead an entire nation in goals, a World Cup winning nation, mind you, without knowing a thing or two about scoring goals. You give the man the rest of the season. We're not going to call it a mulligan. He could still come up massively in the postseason, which I am going to say, and I'm going to go on record right now. Keep those receipts. Olivier Giroud, we're going to see the best of him in the postseason. And then starting next season, when he's had a full training camp with the team, a build-up to the season, we are going to see a completely different Olivier Giroud. Keep in mind all the other players that have come late. Denis Bouanga, nobody knew who he was unless you are a huge fan of Liga. And if that's the case, then we have to have a sit down and chat because I hate PSG. That's besides the point. But it took a little while. Denis did acclimate really quickly and became a big part of our team. But then he went off on a tear. Now, Denis obviously a lot younger than Olivier Giroud, but Olivier Giroud, again, more accomplished. Give that man the opportunity to prove himself to all of us in the postseason, and then yes, then I'll sit on your side of the fence. But it's not fair to compare his body of work to Kai Kamara's when Kai has been there since the beginning.
Man, do I disagree, but that's okay. That's my thing is this. It's the little things that Giroud hasn't done that bother me a little bit in terms of just staying on side. Just staying on side on a lot of these plays. And I get it. It might come back to that chemistry thing. But look at the defenders that are right next to you. If they're behind you, move back. If they're in front of you, keep going. It's like AYSO U5 stuff that you teach these kids about offside positioning. No one needs to teach Olivier Giroud or tell him what the hell onside and offside means. But how are you continuing to drift offside as often as you are? And look, at the end of the day, he could be Gareth Bale and be a champagne item that we have on the bench that we get to roll out in a situation where we absolutely need to have one. Could it easily be Olivier Giroud that scores a goal on a header or makes a turn, move in the box, and all of a sudden slots one pass? Absolutely. And all it takes is one. Gareth Bale will forever be a legend in black and gold because he made one play over the course of his entire black and gold tenure. So yes, Olivier Giroud could certainly be a playoff hero for LAFC. All I'm saying is that every time Kai Kamara steps onto that pitch, he is unreal for LAFC's chemistry, energy, look, feel, everything. So I'm just saying.
Okay. Look, all fair statements. We're probably all a microcosm of how everybody is feeling. But think about that for a second. Oh, the problems we have. Oh, I don't think we should start Olivier Giroud. Huh. Wow, you got to pinch yourself just by saying that. Hearing myself saying that, I can't believe that's a problem that we have. Either way, it's going to be a problem that I'm confident that it's going to resolve itself. You get Olivier firing on all cylinders. Kai just being Kai. We don't need anything more from Kai other than him being himself. We're going to be a lot of trouble for a lot of opposing teams' backlines.
And no Kike Oliveira last night. Like, sheesh. They just keep on coming.
Champagne problems, no question about that.
But absolutely.
Let's start talking about the man that you've been pooping on and riding like a lime scooter all season long, please. 75th minute, Scarf. Actually, hold on. We nearly got a goal in the Quagmire goal in the 69th giggity minute as Denny takes on the entire San Jose back line and makes the ground under their feet quick. But Denny, unfortunately, doesn't get it as Daniel makes the save. But here we are. Scarf. I have his kit somewhere back there. I didn't get a chance to pull it out, but Edward Atuesta scores the goal. The second goal, Edward to Kai. Kai back to Edward from outside of the box. He fires when it goal, and nothing that Daniel could do, although he does appear to get a hand on it, but who cares whether or not his paws touch it because the ball kisses the back of the net and oh, the sweetest fashion. And I wish I could have been there because I would have pointed down at you and go, Atuesta, Scarf, Atuesta.
I don't know what was said to Edward Atuesta as he was subbing in, but there was a rather lengthy conversation between Dolo and Edward Atuesta before he came in. And all I have to say is this is the Edward Atuesta that's been expected all along. And when it finally showed up at BMO Stadium last night, we all realized how much better of a club we are when we get the best of Edward Atuesta. Edward Atuesta hadn't touched the ball since he subbed in for Timothy Tillman. And by the way, everybody was counting as Edward Atuesta came in. All right, that's 1 sub, 2 sub, 3 subs. All right, Edward Atuesta is the 4th sub. That means we have 5. We still bring in Carlos, 75th minute. Maybe Carlos comes in for some late magic, but no, it was a great string pull by Steve Cherundolo. And Philly, this was, you are absolutely right, the absolute best of Edward Atuesta from the 75th minute through the end of the match. I thought that Timothy Tillman played really well. I didn't think that there was anything that maybe Tillman should have, could have, or would have done. But I think it was Hugo Lloris who said it in the press conference. The subs just gave us legs. They gave us legs. And what Edward Atuesta brings, and we all know this from his first tenure with LAFC, is the ability to score from outside the box. But a beautiful 1-2 between him and Kai Kamara, and that's the Edward Atuesta we know. Off the post and in, a perfectly angled shot. And now all of a sudden, we're up 2-1. Galaxy's down 1-0. All we needed, Philly, was a goal in either direction. And now it was, we're looking at a phone, we're watching the match. We're looking at a phone, we're watching the match. My ADD was all over the map.
And rightfully so, because there was a lot going on. Edward Atuesta nearly did it again. 86th minute, curls one just over the upper right corner. 87th, Denny with a shot that goes off of the right post. A close call again as he had Daniel beat. But the play of the half, perhaps the play of the game, and a big reason as to why we are in the situation that we're in. Christian Espinoza of San Jose, amazing facilitator, setting club records with assists. Christian Espinoza is the real deal. He feeds Mr. Sparkling Water himself, Amal Pellegrino, but Hugo Lloris comes up with a massive save, and that was the game that that was the play of the game that saved and clinched the West. No question about it. A massive save. A lesser keeper, fill in the blank as to who you think that is in LAFC's history, would not have made that save. So a huge play by Hugo Lloris, saving that entire thing. And with 5 minutes of stoppage, can LAFC find a way to score one more, needing that 2-goal diff?
Yeah, look, it reminded me, for all of you LA Kings fans out there that grew up listening to Bob Miller call games with Kelly Rudy or Jonathan Quick there in goal, kick save and a beauty. Bob Miller was known. That was one of his catchphrases. And I got to say, everybody out there, we all now, can we just stop? Hugo got off to a little bit of a slow start. First, 5-6 games or so. Maybe we can even say 10 games. And then all of a sudden, he got in game shape. He figured out the pace of the league. He figured everything else out. All he did this season was set an LAFC record for clean sheets in a season and move himself from not having any clean sheets to just one subpar season for Hugo Lloris, away from being our clean sheets leader all time, ahead of Tyler Miller. Tyler Miller, we love you, buddy. We know you listen to the pod. Thank you for your support still. It's been a dream season for Hugo in terms of getting better and better and better and better in moments. And that save, I don't know if it's the best save he's made this season, but it's at least top 5. And his sizzle reel, if he doesn't win Keeper of the Year because they're going to give it to Drake Callender, most likely in Miami for all the wins and everything else. But come on, it's not Drake Callender. It's the 2 guys who scored 20 goals and all the other boys of Messi's brigade out there in Miami. That's the reason why they're winning all these games. You can directly point to a save in maybe 7 or 8 or even 9 matches this season that either keep LAFC level so we can take a point home from someone, or that kept us ahead that we can take 3 points from someone. Dare I say, as good of a season as Denis Bouanga has had, as good of a season as Matty Bogusz has had, is it possible that that man is our MVP on the season, Hugo Lloris, with what he has done on the back line? I'm just saying he has been massive.
I mean, look, just going back to your statement about Drake Callender, I think Columbus's Schulte had a better season than he did. The goals allowed by Columbus were far fewer than that of Miami. One thing we also need to realize that with Hugo Lloris, what we get that we haven't had from any keeper in the past is solid distribution. His ability to quickly connect with a forward sprinting on the on either side of the pitch is huge. He's collected himself 3 assists over the course of the entire season. I mean, how often does that necessarily happen? So that's a huge part of what Hugo Lloris does as well. And look, the respectability, the command, the winner's mentality. Obviously, there's going to be Arsenal fans that are going to laugh at that and go, well, that guy's trophy cabinet is empty. World Cup trophies, to me, supersede anything. And I get that people feel a little strongly, in some cases, club versus country, but winning a World Cup is a very hard thing to do. Hugo Lloris has won that World Cup. He adds that special pedigree to things. And yeah, the save he made, while, like you said, I agree with you, not the best of the season, arguably the most important for the time being. Who knows what's to say going into the postseason. But we have 5 minutes of stoppage time. All right. Early on, Sergi Palencia tracks a foul on Carlos Grueso. That sets up a free kick. In the 90th +1, once again, Edward Atuesta, Scarf, need to put some respect on man's name, finds a way to float it in. And Marlon, coming in for a cramping Aaron Long, gets the goal right by Daniel. And that's what LAFC needed to win. Needed to win by 2. Galaxy needed to lose. And Marlon comes in as a result of Aaron Long cramping up, the cramp that saved the West. Long's contribution is vital, although not something that you would see on a stat sheet because they don't take stats for cramps. But that sub in the 80th minute, huge. And you talked about tactical changes. 2 of those goals that were scored into today's game coming off of the bench. 2, not 3, 2. Huge goal. Marlon, oh my Lord, what a huge opportunity. A guy who probably didn't have all eyes on him. We all wondered where he was. Obviously, a strong, sweet pedigree of a career within his own right. But had Moody not gotten hurt, we wouldn't have seen Marlon. And had Moody not gotten hurt, we wouldn't have seen Marlon score that goal. So I guess in a way, Moody's part of this as well, as much as Aaron Long's cramp was.
I have to say that I think my favorite line from you all season has been the cramp that saved the West. That's that might be it, folks. I think
that one really.
Right. Write it down. That's it. Line of the season from Philly. The cramp that saved the West. By the way, sounds like a really great spaghetti western with like an Ennio Morricone soundtrack, like the cramp that saved the West. I love it. Philly, 263 matches before this one. Many of them in Serie A, many of them with Brazil's top flight. I mean, the dude has played a lot of soccer. Marlon coming on in the 80th minute, breaking many LAFC fans' hearts because they knew they would not see Carlos Vela. But Philly, 263 matches prior, one goal from Marlon for Sassuolo in the 18-19 season in Serie A in Italy. And I asked him about it at the press conference. I was like, Marlon, I'm reading the stats right? 260 plus games. Was that only your second goal? And Marlon understands perfect English, by the way. When I said second goal, his eyes lit up and he started to shake his head like, yeah, man. But if you watch it, Marlon should not have been there. That was Maxime Chanot's channel. The ball, though, Maxime Chanot got up and Marlon stayed down. And because they were both running the same channel, my favorite part is it was Marlon who took the service for Edward Atuesta, which, by the way, put the ball in a dangerous spot. We talked about it with Timothy Tillman. Talk about it with Edward Atuesta. Absolutely love it. It was Marlon who wasn't jumping as high. Even Max. How great was it to have Max Bretos on the call for this? We were watching the highlights. You hear Max go, "Shadow," or was it Marlon? It doesn't matter because they were both in the same spot. Marlon, the hero, and Philly, you and I talked about this when we were talking off air before we came on. My favorite part of the press conference wasn't any of the players that they brought out. It was cool to see Marlon with his kids there, and his son had the game ball. Like, you could tell that was pretty cool. His son had the game ball from that goal. But my favorite part was as Marlon was up there talking, Kai Kamara is leaving the stadium, bangs on the press conference glass, and Marlon looks over, and Kamara is just celebrating with him, giving him kisses. It was unbelievable. Then a couple seconds later, Timothy Tillman walking by, bangs on the glass. He's making faces at him. The club, the way this club has come together, it's so great to see how much they all pull in the same direction. Just an unbelievable scene in the press conference. Just awesome. So happy for Marlon. His second goal in 264 career matches.
2 goals, and by the way, 1 failed physical earlier. A couple of prior. Let's not forget that he failed his physical. Who cares? None of that matters right now. Huge goal for him. So at that point, we find ourselves in a great position. Whistle blows. We took care of what we necessarily needed to take care of. And what we needed was the Houston Dynamo to do some things. And got started pretty well and towards the end of that first half, like you referred to, Ezekiel Ponce scoring in. Steve Clark did a good job saving our behinds for a little while. But then Joseph Paintsill coming right out of the half, gets the top corner. Luckily, a foul gets called on Yoshida. Paintsill's goal doesn't count. Gabriel Peck in the 90th +6. Could have just walked away from this. All the wiser. Galaxy just needed the point to seal the deal. But football, defenders, like life, can be really freaking cruel. But not for us. And not now. The most important goal after the Marlon goal for LAFC came by way of an Indiana Hoosier. Why do I say that? Because I went to IU. I'm a proud Hoosier. Griffin Dorsey with the dime, the Burbanks, Daniel Steres. Steres from right down the road here where Philomonster Studios resides in Burbank, California, scores an important goal for LAFC. I mean the Houston Dynamo. And once again, humor me. In the words of the great Billy Madison, my message to the LA Galaxy:
you blew it!
It's even funnier a third time.
You blew it!
And there you have it. What a goal. What a game. Amazing. They totally Borussia Dortmund the hell out of the regular season.
Unbelievable. I mean, the look on Greg Vanney's face when they panned over to him, it was just like he had realized someone peed in his Cheerios. Like, it was just it was so bad. Like, I in that moment, I'll say it, I felt a little bad for Greg Vanney. You just saw his face and he was like, damn it, I had one job, and we blew it. One job. The goal from Daniel Steres, it could be a career capper, right? Like, who knows? Daniel Steres, 33 years old, about to turn 34. Who knows what his contract status is going to be? Who knows how much longer his career is going to be in Major League Soccer? But man,
LAFC should sign into a 30-day.
No. We've never had a player go from Carson to LAFC. It's not happened yet. So I don't know if we're ever going to do that. But we did have a coach, Ante Razov, right? He played for them for a little bit. So either way, Philly, the scenes at BMO were unreal. And I think he actually talked about it at the press conference. The most excited person on the pitch after the reveal was Marlon. Marlon went absolutely nuts. That was one of the coolest things that I've seen. I mean, I've never felt anything like we score the goal, we're watching on our phones, Galaxy scores, Houston scores at the death. It was just, I don't have blood pressure or heart issues, but I did for a little bit yesterday, for sure. For sure. Oh, unreal, Philly.
Yeah, man. Like we now take the top spot in the West. We await the winner of Vancouver and Portland. The date and time of that to be announced. First game of the best of 3 will be announced soon, and got a sneaky suspicion we're going to be playing on a Saturday, and I sure as hell hope so. We finished the season with a record of you had a well. Let me. I thought we finished the season with an 11-2-4 record, top seed in the Western Conference for the 3rd time in our 7 seasons. Last time we finished on top. Last time it did was back in 2022 when we won the MLS Cup, and we end the regular season, more importantly, on a 5-game winning streak, and counted 6 if you're going to utilize the U.S. Open Cup. We've had a long season. I think we played 50-plus games last year, 46 thus far, still with playoffs to go. But, man, it feels so good to finish on top of the West. It was something that we kind of hoped for, but not something that I would say, dare I say, we expected. We're just pleasantly surprised, and that's the beauty of sports. Sometimes you just never know.
Philly, if we look at our calendar, Saturday, October 26th at BMO Stadium is a K-Tronada concert.
Oh, so then it would more than likely be a Sunday.
Likely a Sunday. Now, let's move ahead to the next Saturday. Where am I? Sorry, my screen just went weird. The next Saturday is October 2nd. Or excuse me, November 2nd. There is a Grupo Firme concert at BMO Stadium. And as we go through, the next Saturday, November 9th, there's a 17 concert. I don't even know who that is, but it looks like a K-pop band of some sort. There's a 17. And oh, by the way, that next Sunday is November 10th. Don't worry, there's a second 17 show as well.
God, I mean, that's great that they're filling the stadium, and obviously, it's privately funded. You want to make as much money as you can, but with all that going on, what that says to me is Gage and the groundskeeping crew are going to have their work cut out for them, because pitch is going to get beaten up quite a bit with all these concerts as we're going into the playoffs. That kind of leaves me with a cause for concern.
Yeah, who knows? Are we playing on Fridays? Are we playing on Sundays? What's it going to look like? What's the travel going to be like? Look, it cannot be at the Rose Bowl. There's no way that we make that concession. The hard part about the Coliseum, and this is something that we've talked to several front office staff about before, is that the Coliseum does not offer like-for-like substitutions for all of the premium club spaces. The Coliseum just doesn't have enough premium club space there. They definitely have plenty of seats, but not premium club space. Who knows about SoFi, but SoFi, wrong field dimensions to host World Cup matches. So I don't know if they're going to be able to host MLS matches. There's a lot going on in terms of our playoff schedule. It's actually why we don't have a playoff schedule yet. Most of the playoff schedule in the East is already set. But if you look, there's a lot of TBD, both in our games and, by the way, in Carson's games. So I think they're trying to work all those things out. It's why we don't have a playoff schedule yet, folks.
Yeah, fair. Playoffs is set, though. That first round, the wild card matches are going to be Tuesday through Wednesday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. The round one is going to go from, and this is for everybody, I'm quoting, from October 25th through November the 10th. The conference finals are going to be between November 23rd and November 24th. I'm sorry, the conference semifinals. The conference finals between November 30th and December 1st. And, well, we're another December final. Will it be in Miami? Will it be in Columbus? Well, they both knocked out, and will it be in LA? I don't know, but stay tuned to find out. Now, my question to you, and we've been speaking quite a while, and I know Panda is getting a little angry at me because I'm spending my entire morning with you. But Scarf, we have a wild card team that we're going to compete against, be it the Vancouver Whitecaps,
Yeah.
Portland Timbers.
Yeah.
Who would you prefer to play? And tell me why it's the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the answer. Look, I don't fear either club. Let's be honest. I don't fear either club. LAFC has played well against both of these clubs. But between Evander and Cabecita and having to go play in Providence Park, where there is a clearer home pitch advantage than at BC Place, because all you're doing when you open up the upper bowl is put people farther and farther away at BC Place. So I don't care about BC Place. I know we've played Vancouver a lot, so they are going to be incredibly used to the way that LAFC plays versus Portland, who we haven't quite seen as much. But I will say this, if you're asking, and you are, yeah, I'd rather play Vancouver. I'd rather play Vancouver this season than Portland because of those reasons I just gave you.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes, and there's a lot of you out there that are tuning into this, and we greatly appreciate it. It's Sunday Fun Day. The NFL's going on. Got to get ready for Angel City or the Dodgers-Mets game. A lot of cool stuff. Scarv, any final thoughts or words or anything you wanted to cover before we sign off here?
Yeah, man, I just want to, Philly and I talk about this all the time off air. We just appreciate the support that we get from Defenders Nation, from the Black and Gold family, from the millions.
And millions.
And now that we're entering the postseason, there's going to be a lot of interesting things going on here at Defenders. Obviously, we're continuing our One More Sleeps. We'll do some in-depth breakdowns on these teams, everything else. But the support that we have continued to get in the chat from Instagram, from Facebook, from Twitter, from YouTube, from right here on StreamYard as we do everything. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much. It really is a labor of love, but not just because we love the club, not just because we love the crest, but because we love this community that we have helped bring together. People from every supporters group, people from no supporters group, people from Dublin, Ireland, and Australia. Bam, we love you. And everybody that tunes in from all over the more than 110 countries that Defenders of the Bank has been heard in over the life of our podcast, 334 episodes and counting. We love you guys more than anything. And I just want to say thank you to all of you out there in Defenders Nation.
Scarf having a beautiful nostalgic moment. I can't help but echo the words. And yeah, everything that he said, and I know it would be a lot better for all of us in a lot of ways if we actually had a set time to do this. I know the boys over at Happy Foot, Sad Foot go live right afterwards, but that's their thing now. I don't want to lay claim to that. It's really hard to get Scarf and I on the same schedule at any given time. Therefore, staying with a strict schedule would be damn near impossible for the two of us with all the stuff that we got going on in our lives. But to see as many of you on a Sunday morning, greatly appreciate that. Just leads me to believe that Sunday mornings may not necessarily be the worst. I figure y'all would just have been out partying all night, waking up late, hungover today. So that's why I didn't think it would be a good idea to do it this early. But you all proved me wrong. Thank you so much. Thank you, our club. Thank you to the owners, the front office, the players, the supporters, everybody. Congratulations thus far on making it to this point, 10 plus years since the club got announced. We've done a lot of amazing things, and we truly are the epitome of what it is and what it takes to create a successful club from ground zero. Case studies need to be made about us in sports management schools, how to properly build something from the ground up with a grassroots scenario, getting people invested, not just because of what happens on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And as great as this team is, as great as this club is, as successful as we have, it's all of you. It's all of us. It's all the people that are involved in this that make this the amazing club that it is. And for all the haters that are out there, as much as they like to talk trash upon us, deep down, they certainly feel a longing that they wish their club had what we have. So, again, thank you very much. And my final thing that I want to say It's been said a couple of times. Message to our rival.
You blew it!
Gets funnier even if time around.
There's something I totally forgot to plug at the beginning of the episode.
That doesn't surprise me.
And now that we're an hour and 15 minutes in, might as well. Look, everybody out there, you guys know all our merch is done by 500 level. We got something really cool for you. We're going to put this on our website. We're going to put it all over the place. If you go to 500level.com, they make all kinds of pro memorabilia, all kinds of college stuff, not just Defenders of the Bank stuff, right? Obviously. Like 8 t-shirts at LAFC HQ right now are made by 500 level. All the cool stuff that they do. Every team that you can imagine. They're like Fanatics, only a little bit smaller. 500 level is giving all Defenders of the Bank listeners a special code that if you want to go order anything, not Defenders of the Bank merch, but do that too, anything from 500 level, enter in the code Defenders20, the number 20, Defenders20 for a 20% off on your entire purchase, no matter what you buy. It could be, I don't know, a new Rams t-shirt, a new Kings t-shirt, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to buy. Defenders20. When you do that, you'll get 20% off on everything that you buy from 500 level. No, it doesn't have to be LAFC related. It could be anything at all on the site. We're going to start promoting that a lot more, y'all. Defenders20 at 500 level. You get 20% off of everything.
Ooh, I'm looking at the sweet New York Mets t-shirts.
There you go.
Right. This is a Defenders. This is the first time I've heard of it as well. So
yeah,
Scarf and I are great at communicating with one another prior to starting pods. Look at this guy. He's drinking Topo Chico. Gotta love it. He really isn't. But I got nothing. It's an hour and 16. My wife's going to kill me, dude. We really need to break out of here.
Well, you know how we like to end each and every one of our episodes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.